social media. You can put it in Instagram. Maybe you can't in Instagram, but if you can share it out there, we'll see. Maybe we can get more than 4 people this time. Woohoo! Pretty exciting. And then get to introduce some people for a little teaser on what we're doing here. All right. And then in YouTube, how are you able to do a chat in the YouTube? Can people put the link in there? Mm-hmm. Or like that, how to buy an insider?
Yes.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, figure it out.
All right, I'm focused on you. My team will focus on you too. All right. So welcome back. Type into the chat the favorite thing you've got out of this morning thus far. What's the number one aha, insight, encouragement, or download that you got between you and Divine? Whether it was directly from something I was saying or not. Put it into the chat. What cool things have happened? If you can hit the chat onto the screen. The Zoom. Getting into alignment with my perfect dream life. Woohoo! Do I have a YouTube channel? Yeah, I think it's James MacNeil. Learning to trust Divine. I love it. Faith-filled actions, right? Some people say, is it all up to me or is it all up to Divine or all up to God? I say it's great to have the mindset that I work as if it's all up to me, but I work with faith that it's not, right? So I don't put the pressure on my performance. You might want to write that down. I don't put pressure on my performance. I play in my performance. I go for it. I try. I play. I go for it. I dial the phone. I attempt a YouTube video. I just try stuff. And because we're playful, it actually puts a lot less pressure on the world, and people can receive us with a lot more joy. So, play, play, play. All right, ready for more? Who's ready for more? Let's understand the science of success, why it works, why it doesn't when it doesn't, and of course it always works. The question is why it doesn't appear to work sometimes. Who's looking forward to the day that I do like a Tony Robbins size thing, and we've got those giant walls of screens, and I don't have to figure out how to use my computer, but other people press all the buttons. Who's looking forward to not having to wait for James to put his glasses on and find the button? We'll fill stadiums, my friends. That's what we're going to do. Who's with me? Who wants to bring this message to the world? It's universal, it's loving, it's respectful of all faith groups. There's no, it's just pure. It's pure and it's good news. All right. So the science of success, and this is how I got from where I started to where I am. And so the science of success is simply the science of all motivational speakers and all this kind of stuff, where we answer the question, why is it some people are more successful than other people? And you know for sure that it's not hard work, right? Like, if hard work made you rich, then every laborer, right? I walk down the street, I see people sweeping streets and working hard and thinking they work harder than me, but they're not making as much. And so hard work is not the secret to success, necessarily, unless that's the job you want and how you define success. So there's more to it. Why is it that some people with less education, less contacts, they work less, they're not as sexy as you. How is it that they can be even more successful? So there's secrets to success, and the world wants to understand them. So why is it that some people can achieve success while other people struggle? And so the science of success simply answers that question, and that's been my job now for 30 years. How to do that? This is me in Singapore. This is me in South Africa. Over to the right is Les Brown. He's off camera, sadly. But Les Brown was there. That was the first speech he ever saw. That's why I always show this image. The first time Les Brown, the world's greatest motivational speaker, saw me, his guru son, speak, was there that day. And in fact, it was just before this speech that he named me his son, his honorary spiritual guru son. And when he saw this speech, I was nervous as a June bug. Put again into the chat if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be able to share the big stages with myself and Les and everyone else, and get to touch lives, right? Hundreds of millions of lives can be touched. I co-hosted a radio show, touched millions of lives. Did that for a year. I did a radio rally. It's the freakiest thing, I'll tell you this. I was in Florida, and we were recording it in New York. I did it in New York. And we were doing a radio rally they called. I don't even listen to the radio. I don't know. I never knew about these things. All I know is I sit in the studio and I do this thing every day. So then I was invited to do this radio rally with the star of the show. I was the co-host. And we were in Florida, this big, huge, like, convention center. We're walking down the hall, and I was walking with somebody, I don't know who, and people were freaking out as I'm walking, and they're yelling, "You're him! You're him!" And millions of people all up and down the eastern seaboard of North America were listening to the show, sometimes multiple times a day, and they knew my voice but not my face. So as I was walking down the hall, they just heard me talking. People were like, "Oh my gosh, you're him! You're James MacNeil!" And I thought, I had no idea how many lives that I've been given the opportunity to touch. Put up your hand if you want that to be your truth. Do you want to be a person that all over the world, there's lives that will never be the same because you existed, because you were willing to put out a message of love and joy and peace. Your story, put into the chat if you have a story, if you have a message. Because we train up speakers, we train up gurus, we train up facilitators, and if that's something that you're serious about, we have our first event, our first online event coming up. Diane can tell you about that. Diane here is currently in Costa Rica, because she can. And she's leading our first Next Level You event, which is sponsored by our iLead event company. And we're going to put stars on there, and you can be one of our stars. So let us know if you want to be a speaker, a teacher, an author, a coach, a consultant, a trainer. Just let us know if that's on your heart, and then we can talk about that. So there I was, nervous as anything. Les Brown is off stage. At the end, there's 4,000 people in front of me. I don't know if you can see it, but there's big screens throughout the auditorium. And at the end of it, Les Brown comes out from around the table and he gives me 2 bows in front of 4,000 people. He gives me this, and he says, "Young man, the student has become the master." And he says, "Young man, you're going to teach me a few things." And he's since hired me, and he's purchased something I'll tell you about today. It's called the 12-month Miracle Challenge. It's our DreamLife community, and many of the people in the Zoom know what that is. Well, Les Brown purchased it. He doesn't have to buy anything. I'd give him everything, but he purchased it for all of his kids, and he has a few. That's the kind of support that I've been blessed with the world's greatest speakers. So I encourage you to get in the game and start making your own impact. There I am in London, England. That's my first book I had hair. This is my first book. I wrote it in 11 days on the back scrap paper. This is in my house. I asked the guy who owned the house if I could take a picture in front of his house. He said yes. Little side note, little insider secret. He will be furious. I'm sure he was furious when he saw this, because these gates, I don't know if you can see them, they're cast iron or whatever iron things that were going on the front door, and there's a little rag on the floor there. The guy was installing them the day I came for my picture, and I didn't make him get them out of the way. And I'm sure the owner of the house was like, "Why did you have these things leaning against the wall? My perfect mansion," and you did that. And then I have a car there that no way I owned at that time. I borrowed it from Mercedes. Literally borrowed it. I didn't steal it. They lent it to me because I asked for it. And it's amazing what you get when you ask. I asked for these things and I was given them. Anyway, so I wrote this book in 11 days and changed my life. Who here is interested in writing a book? Okay, let's do something here. I've been asked to do a live, are you ready, Olga? I don't know how we're going to do this. I've been asked to do a live, in-person, 5-hour book workshop, July 9th and 10th. Who would like to join me? So we're interested in having a cyber simulcast, so that we're going to have people in the room and then people around the world. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll probably have to charge you something, right? Because people in the room are paying. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll send you the information if you're seriously interested in knowing how you can write a book in 5 hours. If you would like to put your stake in the ground, because if you want to be an authority, you have to start with being an author, authority. To be an authority, you must first be an author. You don't get on these stages without having written a book. You don't get on the radio without writing a book. CNN doesn't interview people who didn't write a book. So this is your ticket into the game. And so if you want to know how to be a guru and how to write a book, please put it into the chat. Say, just type book into the chat, and our team will track and we'll send you something as soon as we organize ourselves. We haven't even booked the location, but I was told it's going to be at a fancy place. Maybe the Four Seasons in Miami. So if you want to join me and learn how to do this, I'll show you. But I wrote this book in 11 days on the back of scrap paper, and it changed my life. Now, if you don't know my story, now I'm going to let you know the insider secret. For those of you on YouTube, you probably don't know my story. So my name is James MacNeil. I'm the author of Pure Spiritual Intelligence, and you are getting a sneak peek into what's called the DreamLife Experience. This is a weekend event, normally live in person only, $1,000 event. It's normally 2 days. This is the first time I'm making it a 3-day event, and people are able to purchase tickets for as low as, well, VIPs is $97 for good reason, and then there's a $9, which gives you the workbook and posters and access to a ton of stuff in Q&A. So if you're interested, someone will give you the link. It's go.jamesmacneil.com/insider, and you can join that. All right, so I don't know how I distracted myself there, but here's the rest of the story. So this is my first book, Success Secrets of King Solomon. When I was 21 years old, I could not have read that book. When I was 29 years old, I was a Canadian national best-selling author. So at 28 years old, I wrote this book, and I was penniless. I was clueless. I had just started out as a speaker. I was doing well as a speaker, but I was still, catching up on life. And someone said, you got to write a book. I'm like, I just learned to read. And they said, well, you got to get it done. I got it done in 11 days, published it, and poof, I became a Canadian national best-selling author. And so who knows how far you'll go if you'll just step up. Give yourself an amen if you're committed to stepping up. Get that book published, get yourself on those stages, and practice, practice, practice. Just learn. My son, who's happy to be my biggest critic, he and I are very close, we're best friends, and he mocks me mercilessly because it's easy. And he said to me, he says, Dad, I admit it, on stage, you're great. He says, but online, you suck. He says, you've got to learn how to do this video stuff. Recently, he saw something I did. He says, hey, Dad, you figured your shit out. Sorry, you figured your stuff out. Because how do you get good at anything? You start by sucking at it, and you get better, and you get better, and you get better. So who's committed to play? Just play, 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 play until you're a master. Someone went to a Greek violinist, concert violinist, just performed, the tuxedo and the whole fancy pants thing. And as they were walking out of the concert hall, someone said, I would give my life to be able to play like you. And the concert violinist said, I did. I gave my entire life to be able to play like me. You didn't, so you won't. Does that make sense? He committed. He gave his entire life to mastery. He went for it. A lot of people say, oh, I wish, oh, I wish. Well, they'll spend their life wishing. But we turn our dreams into reality, and this is how we do it. So, yeah, so I published this book. It changed my life. The backstory is this. I come from a challenging home situation, and I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I have dyslexia, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. As a child, I experienced being bullied, beaten, battered, broken, abandoned, choked, strangled, hung, and drowned. And I survived all of those things. And I didn't just survive, and I didn't just thrive. I'm a well, happy, healthy, loving, kind person. And I tell you what, one of the things I want you to get, it's easier to get rich than it is to get well. Write that down. It's easier to get rich than it is to get well. And without wellness, you don't enjoy the riches. And without wellness, you don't keep the riches. And without wellness, you don't compound those riches. So wellness, prioritize wellness, and we're learning that this weekend. I hope you're enjoying this. I enjoy sharing these things with you. So the science of success, which I invested 30 years of my life teaching, it teaches you duplicatable action. So if you do what they do, you get what they get. If you take the real estate course and if you apply it, you get the results. But if you don't apply it, you don't get the results. Would you agree that you can learn things and not apply them? You can take a course and not take action. And so what's different about my work is not only with my work do people take action and change their lives, they actually reach back into all the courses they didn't use and start using them. And so you want to ignite yourself. It's not that you don't know better, it's that you don't do better. And so what I help you do is to calm down, be yourself, and take action. Fearlessly execute on all of those dreams, on all of those courses you've ever taken. It's not too late. So everything every seminar, every course, everything that you've ever signed up for, I want you to know that you can now use them. It's not too late. Now that you're learning how to move forward in faith-filled actions. So fearless, prayer, take action, unlock it. So they're duplicatable, but without pure spiritual intelligence, people don't take the actions. And that's what's the secret for you. This weekend, if you haven't already mastered it in working with me, you will master reconnection to infinite intelligence. Everything you need to know, you can know. Reclaiming your creative genius. And if you don't know that you're a creative genius, I just thought of this morning. If you're not positive that you're a creative genius, just think about this. Have you seen your dreams? Who do you think made that crap up? You're a creative genius. That's freaky stuff you dream. You have freaking flying mice and walls disappearing, and you're in one room with this person, then you're... Do you understand what I'm saying? Your dreams are evidence that you're infinitely creative. What has changed, though, is up until the age of 5, you could be measured as a creative genius. Then you went to school and you stopped because creativity was being discouraged by friends and by the machine. You're also going to experience restoration of your spiritual heart. Who could use some heart healing? Who could use a cleansing of the heart? To let go of all the negative crap, the self-doubt, the fear and loathing and all that kind of junk, and just have a pure heart again. Well, that's guaranteed in spiritual intelligence. How would you like to activate your limitless inspiration? People like, how do you work so hard? How do you do it, right? I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I pray, I meditate, I walk between 10 and 20 kilometers a day, and I work out, and I write books, and I'm building a business, I hire, train, manage. Like, people are like, how do you do all of that? I'm like, I don't know. I just have limitless inspiration. I just go with the flow, and I move from one thing to another with joy and peace and learning, and I don't get hung up. I blow it, I make a mistake, I move on. People aren't tired because of their actions, they're tired because of their frustrations. That's what's exhausting. But with limitless freedom, then miraculous healing. How would you like to have healing in your relationships, your body, your finances, your business? How would you like to live in calm confidence and safe strength? That makes you the most appealing person in the world. Synchronistic timing. You're always in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people. It's beautiful. And then access to limitless abundance. And that's your reality. This is a little bit of who is that I shared the stage with. Hey, Augustine, I was just wondering if during the next break we can see if we can change the brightness on the TV, maybe make it brighter for people. Whatever. I think we can play with that. Can you see the screen okay? Can you see the screen all right? Well, here you've got the world's most famous, powerful people. Now, how can little old Jimmy MacNeil, right, with no education, to this day I have no college, no university, no nothing. I was kind of homeless when I was 18, 19. Kind of. Not fully homeless, but I was pretty close. And so how did that guy, was a janitor, who couldn't read, how did I become this guy who hangs out with these people? Is this pretty cool to you? Like if you've ever seen evidence, this is evidence. These are my friends now. I hang out with the world's most powerful, wealthy, intelligent people, like you, and I get to change lives all over the world. I live the life of my dreams, and so can you. I'm currently 175 pounds. I was 205. I can run 5 miles straight out if I felt like it. I was told I needed operations on my back because of all the damage from my childhood. They said I couldn't even walk if I didn't get the operations. Well, I didn't get the operations, and here I am, getting stronger and healthier every single day. Miracles happen. Can I get an amen? Miracles happen. And all you have to do, and all I have to do, is be a bright, shining light that nobody can deny. Well, your life ruins it for anyone who wants to have a hopeless mentality, because your life is evidence that it's possible. And that's what I want to be, and that's what I want you to be, a bright, shining light in a world of desperate need now. So I've been blessed with this incredible life. Yes, I work hard, but it's fun. And so what I want you to know is that your perfect dream life is in fact perfect. It's better than anything you can imagine. That's what the wisdom literature teaches us. That your perfect dream life, you actually choreographed. See if you can handle this. This is a little heavy. Before you were born, you and divine love partnered and choreographed your entire perfect life. Who here is willing to accept that? That you actually planned this all out, the whole thing. You came here on purpose with a reason for this season to change the world. You looked down from that heavenly realm and you looked on this planet. You saw pain, you saw anger, you saw hatred. You saw all time in one, because the spirit world transcends time, space, and matter. And so you saw this time and you said, send me in there. Send me into that country. Send me in as a male or a female or whatever your journey is, and into the family. And some people say, there's no way that I would have chosen my family. I'm saying you did. And I'm saying you did because you saw how that unique experience could turn you into a unique person who could touch the world in a unique way with a story and an understanding and a wellness that no one else can touch because you had to earn it through fire. Can I get an amen? The only way you can touch the world is to have suffered what you've suffered, seen what you've seen. Your drama and your trauma are your steps to your transformation. The scars and the stars, right? And so the whole journey was choreographed by you, and it's being unlocked as you continue to walk in your divine connection. So no matter how good your dream is, it's better than you can imagine. In the Bible it says, eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard, nor hath entered into the heart of mankind all that divine love, all that God has planned for you. There's no way you can see how great it is. It's perfect, better than you can imagine. Next, it's approved. You're not trying to get divine approval. You're approved, for crying out loud. Go live your dream life. And your dream life is prepared for you. All the money you ever desired is on the planet right now. It's paid for. All you have to do is go get it. And it's present. The only thing that your dream life is waiting for is your permission. Write that down. Your dream life is awaiting your permission because divine love will not force you against your will to live a better life than you're choosing. And your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions are choosing the life that you're currently living. And today's a new day. I believe, tell me if you can accept this, 100% of everything that's ever happened in your life up until this moment, 100% of everything that's ever happened in your life is perfect to get you here. This is your divine appointment. This is your turn on. This is your activation weekend where you say, now my perfect dream life is only and always what I experience. Who can accept that? Everything up until this moment was perfect to get me here. This is my divine appointment. I encourage you to say, this is my time. In fact, type it into the chat, this is my time. Because nothing's an accident. You are living on purpose and you are on schedule. That's a mind shock for a lot of people. Oliver Wendell Holmes said the greatest tragedy of our time is most people die with the music still in them. Not you and not me. We're living large from now on. So what's the music in you? What do you bring to this planet? Write something down. What is it that you bring to this planet? What's your special gift? What's your special ability? I want you to start becoming more and more mindful that you came here with a reason in this season. You're here on purpose. You're here to meet needs or to bring some positivity. So begin to ask yourself, what am I equipped with? What am I set up for? Now when we ask the question, what do you want? What does your perfect dream life look like? We started the ball rolling and I want you to keep it rolling. And at this point, if you haven't already started looking at it, for those of you who are in our official Zoom meeting, those of you on YouTube, welcome. For those of you who are in our Zoom meeting, you've been sent your workbook. And in your workbook, you can turn now to page number 3. I'm sure you've been using the paper for something if you've got your workbook printed. But right now, we're in the Introduction to Dream Life. And if you haven't used this space, that's what you could use this space for. But down here, what I want you to do is now get more specific on what do you want out of this weekend. So write down what you want to make sure that you take away from this time together with me. This morning, this afternoon, tomorrow, Sunday. I want you for this weekend. This is called intentions. It's a very important thing for you to become mindful of. Your intentions, intentionality. For right now, let me just give you a moment to write it down. What are you committed to having happen this weekend? Go ahead and write something down. What do you want to make sure you get out of this weekend? Like whether I teach it or not, you can say, look, I'm going to learn how to manifest miracles or forgive my neighbor or something, or get this business started. And then you simply say, whether James teaches me or not, I'm not leaving this weekend without it, right? Like, I'm going to do what I can, but what are you going to get out of this weekend? Go. And I'll ask you, if you'd be kind enough, to type into the chat, what do you want to get out of this weekend? So that Olga and my team can help me to know what you want to make sure you get. Because we have a little bit more time this weekend to cater, to adapt, to give custom direction. Some of you are focused on money, some of you are focused on health, some of you are focused on building a guru business to become a light bearer. Some of you, your focus is on family restoration. And so we want to know what we want to make sure is your reality this weekend, so that to the best of my ability I can adapt. So go ahead. Type it into the chat. What do you want to get out of this weekend? And to some degree, you had that. I mean, you came here for a reason, so you already had something, but I want you to become more clear now and claim it. This weekend I will. This weekend I am. Beautiful. And then there's just no turning back. So make sure that you've put that in the chat if it's share worthy, so that our team can know what you want to make sure that you get out of it. Next, we're going to move into what I would call, it could be heavy intellectually for some. However, I believe it's healthy to understand how this whole universe works. Who here is interested in understanding how the whole universe works? What's the universe made of? And how does this metaphysical stuff relate? How are all the religions related or science related? How does it all work? Well, we're going to do that now, and then we're going to, so that you have the framework, and then we're going to move into how do you begin to turn yourself into a miracle magnet. We're going to move into that. So success, first of all, let's start with success is an inside-out job. If you think that your life will be better when something outside changes, that's the problem. The problem is thinking the problem is outside of you. Write that down. The problem is thinking the problem is outside of you. There is no problem outside of you. What's outside of you is just what is. You know, some people whine about waves in the ocean, other people surf. Some people whine about wind, other people sail. So it's not about what is, the question is, are you mastering what is? Are you aligning with what is? Are you here to make a positive impact on what is? But not out of need. You're not here in need. So nothing outside will fix what's going on the inside. It's actually the opposite. Your inner transformation and spiritual transformation changes the world around you. And if you're not familiar with the quote, grab it now. As above, so below. As within, so without. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so from the vertical, from the spiritual, from the metaphysical, we have our healing and our wellness in our own, right? We have connection with divine love and wellness and wealth and everything, wisdom. Then we take that from inside and we move it into the outside world. What the world has told you, what the world has told me, is that success is an outside-in job, which means if only your parents were better and your teacher was better and the government was better and you were luckier and people were nicer, then you'd be happy. No, that's bull. No one ever got happy because of an external. Put up your hand if you understand that. No matter, there's miserable rich people. Stop kidding yourself. And there's really happy broke people. So stop kidding yourself. So whatever you think it will make you happier from the outside, know this, that's not true. That's not true. Your happiness changes the world. The world doesn't change your happiness. So success is an inside-out job. Now the relationship with spirituality and religion, people get caught up in the whole religion, anti-religion thing. And just know this, that religions are just organized models of what some people thought or think is best as it relates to spirituality. So it's just spirituality that's been organized. Now you might say, no, they're all evil and they cause wars. I'm not going to get into that. What I will say is this. The intent of religion is to organize the best spiritual principles possible into a preset, here's what we know to be true, and pass it on as clearly as possible. whether it's played out well or not is another question, and I'm not getting into judgment here. But I will say that this is how it's shown up in reality. So, as it shows up today, spirituality is perceived to be curious and open. Religion is perceived to be conclusive and closed. My guru dad, Les Brown, told me once, he says, religious people worry about going to hell. Spiritual people don't because they've already been there. So it depends on how you look at it. But religion, the idea of religion is to organize and manage the best of a spiritual set of principles, thoughts, and ideas. So the religion is organized and prepackaged. Spirituality is more open and investigative. And both, there's benefits to both. Some things you want to lock down, some things you want to be open to. What I will say about religion is all religions believe a certain, there's three things all religions share in common. Number one, there's a power. Every religion believes there's a power, whether it's the Tao or whether it's God, Allah, and on, right? So they believe there's a power. Second, they believe there's a problem. Whether that problem is we don't know enough or we're behaving badly and the power's mad at us or something. And then the third is, here's your process to making peace with the power. Right? This is a process to overcome the problem as it relates to the power. Now, using this model, it goes so far as to say every science is a religion. Science is a religion. Science believes that there's a power, and the power is knowledge, and the problem is we don't have enough knowledge, and then we have the scientific method to solve the problem with this power, and now we know more. And so it's faith by way of knowing the scientific method, and I'm not against it, and they might not. Maybe some scientists wouldn't like that I said that. But it's a religion. It's a form of this is how I find peace with power. So that's the religion dynamic. Now, I want to encourage you to have some humility and some openness. Now, I'm very committed to my own faith journey. I'm a fully committed Christ follower. I believe in Jesus and the Bible. I'm 100% locked into that belief system without hesitation. I'm not into a lot of the religious stuff that's been associated with that journey. And I embrace the wisdom from all journeys. But that is my core and my foundation. Just in case you're curious, I am a fully committed Christ follower and Bible believer. That said, I am wide open to learn. The more I study Buddhism, the more I understand Jesus. So I love the fact that we can be open and learn from one another. I was sitting in Bangkok, Thailand, and a friend said, you know what, we're all like ants underneath a bridge. I said, what do you mean? He said, he's one of the world's top speakers, by the way. He said, all these religious people think they know what they're talking about, but he says that's arrogant. He says nobody knows what's going on when it comes to spirituality. It's mystery. I said, well, that sounds wise. That sounds good. I'm with you. He said, so imagine we're all ants and we live in an anthill directly under a bridge where there's a highway and cars and so on. And he says we live most of our lives below ground, but we come above ground and we look up and we hear the sounds of the cars and the whatever trucks. And he said these ants arguing about cars. Right? What is a car? What does it look like? Why does a car exist? He said that's as intelligent as it is people arguing about religion. He says none of these ants have seen a car, been in a car, drove a car, right? Seen a car, tasted, smelled a car. We don't know what the heck we're talking about. So he said, I believe it's wise that we bring some humility to the spiritual conversation, and I share that perspective. Just because I believe what I believe doesn't mean I'm going to in any way disrespect or disregard what you believe. I'm going to learn from you, and I hope you're of the same boat. Can we give an amen to we can love on each other? We don't have to all agree. If we all agree, it's boring, right? There's nothing to learn. So we're all like ants underneath a bridge. And in my very not so humble opinion, the problem with spirituality, religion, psychology, science, yada, 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 is that we think there's a problem. Who said it's supposed to be any way other than it is? Who said we're not supposed to currently have a messed up world? Maybe it's this way because we're all to learn something. Maybe we're all here to grow and make a better planet, right? I know that's why we're here. We're here to change the world positively. So instead of complaining about how things are, let's do something about how things are, right? So the problem is the problem with all the sciences and religions is that we start with the idea that there's a problem. I start with the idea that everything's perfect, everything's improving, let's get after it. Instead of investing all of our research into solving problems that we could otherwise just say, let's invest all of our genius in changing the world with love, joy, peace, and purpose and prosperity. Let's change the world in a positive way without focusing on the problem, but only on the love solution. The way I look at it is love is the answer, what's the question? And so this different mindset frees us to take action and change the world. Okay? Did I preach too much, or are you okay? Let me know if you're okay. Still love me? I love you. Okay. Now the only thing that I find helpful, if you're wondering, how much do I have to believe? Because I'm not one of those religious people. I don't believe in whatever you believe in, James. Are we going to get along? Can I learn from you? The only thing I encourage you to embrace is the idea that if there is this energy that oversees the universe or created the universe, if you're open to the idea that it's benevolent rather than malevolent, we're going to get along fine. Benevolent means life and love giving. Malevolent is the opposite. In benevolent, in the Bible it said God is love. So what some people call God, you might call love. So we can get along fine. If we just say, let's focus on the love energy of the universe, and you can call that what you call it, and I'll call it what I call it, and we're all going to get along fine, boom, we're back in business. So that's a foundational idea that I submit for your serious consideration. But there is something that I want you to know about losing our religion. In recent years, religions, churches have been emptying out. People have been moving away from organized religion, largely because people think they're divisive. I'm not going to judge either way. But the downside to losing our religion is people have lost a framework for life, and that's why it seems people are so lost. Type into the chat if you agree. Just type agree if you agree that this world seems lost. People don't know how to have a better life. They seem frustrated. They don't know how to make sense of it all. Let me know if you would agree. And it's increasing, right? We have an explosion in mental health issues. We have victimization. We got violence. All kinds of yuck. And so what's behind that is a loss of a framework. Without vision, the people perish. Is a great principle to remember. Without vision, the people perish. And in our modern society, we have a lot of freedom. So freedom without vision is prison. Freedom without vision is prison. People are paralyzed with this complete freedom of thought, freedom of philosophy. They don't know why they're here. They don't know what they want. They don't know what makes a life worth living. They don't know who they are. They don't know how it all works. And this lack of a structure, a philosophy, paralyzes people, frustrates people, and puts people into panic, freeze, and frustration. And so that's the downside. So I encourage you to have what's called a functional philosophy. I encourage you to write that down. Now I'm presenting you this weekend my entire functional philosophy called Pure Spiritual Intelligence, but have one. Disagree with me to the degree you do, but fill in that blank. Have a functional philosophy. Oh, I forgot that we're on Mexico time, so it's now 11 o'clock.
Now it's time, yes.
Yes, 11 o'clock. I'm looking at the clock and I'm saying, boy, it feels like we've been going more than an hour.
Yeah.
I'm trying to adapt to the Toronto time and the Mexican time. Okay. Are you okay? Type into the chat if you're okay. Just let me know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a quote, and there's no way you can read it on the screen, I don't think. It's from Ayn Rand. She wrote Atlas Shrugged, which is the world's best-selling book. Sorry, it is the #1 most read book by the world's most powerful people, second only to the Bible. So this book is a pretty heavy book called Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. And I wouldn't have agreed with her on a lot of things. She's passed away. She's brilliant. But what I love about her is her brilliant critical thinking and her standing and selling her philosophy. I love everything about her. And yeah, we would have disagreed, but who cares? Disagreement doesn't matter. She's brilliant. And so I'm going to read this little quote. It's from a book she wrote called Philosophy, Who Needs It? So this is what she says about philosophy. A philosophy, or a philosophic system, is an integrated view of existence, and as a human being, you have no choice about the fact that you need a philosophy, a structure, an idea of how does this world work. Your only choice is whether you define your philosophy by a conscious, rational, disciplined process of thought and scrupulously logical deliberation, or let your subconscious mind just accumulate a junk heap of unwarranted conclusions, false generalizations, undefined contradictions, undigested slogans, unidentified wishes, doubts, and fears, all thrown together by chance, but integrated into your subconscious mind into a kind of mongrel philosophy, and it's fused into a single solid weight and self-doubt like a ball and chain in the place where your mind's wings should have grown. I want you to think about it this way. When you're paralyzed by lack of clarity, lack of flow, how does it all work? Why am I here? What am I doing? We just simply get paralyzed and confused, and that turns into frustration. When you study, okay, get this down. This is something I haven't talked about for a long time. So for those of you who've been with me, this might be brand new. When it comes to violent crime, okay, violent crime is the more overt form of crime, right? And in prisons, one of the common things is they found that people in prisons have a very small vocabulary, shockingly different from the masses. So if you have a very small vocabulary, what that means is you act out. And if you look at little children who railing around and pounding and screaming, a good parent will often say, use your words. And then when the child says, I'm unhappy, or I want this, then all of a sudden the energy has gone out of their body because they were able to communicate. Does that make sense? Without the ability to communicate, they become frustrated. With frustration, they can move into violence. And this is not just for 2-year-olds, this is in life. And so when people don't have the words, the ability to articulate spiritually and physically, they can get themselves into some frustration. So imagine not just missing the language, but missing the framework on why am I alive? What's the point of this existence? Now we're talking about a whole nother level of frustration and fear. So I strongly encourage this weekend, to the best of your ability, organize your philosophy, your beliefs. How does it all fit together? You might say, I'm kind of Christian, but I'm kind of Buddhist, maybe I'm a little Buddhish, and I got a little this going on, I'm kind of a spiritual person. So I'm not saying no to your freedom. What I'm saying is get it organized. This is how it fits together. And then find yourself some peace, and I'm going to be presenting to you my full philosophy. Good and good? Is this all right? Okay. Now for the really easy stuff. Physics, quantum physics, the unified field theory, and the theory of everything. Who's ready for some light learning? Okay, I want to see your faces. You got to sell me that you're ready for this, because this is I got to put. Okay, come on screen, come on screen, come on screen. Everyone, come on screen. I want you to reassure me you can handle this, and I'll try and be as painless as possible. Okay, you ready? Get sexy, get sexy. 3, 2, 1. Ah, there we go again. This. Boom. Hey, hey. Say hi to everyone on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. And if you haven't shared the link, the team can share the link and let you know how to help people get to meet us. How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay, my friends? Have you been getting value out of this? Has this been helpful? Yes? Good and good and good. Who's learned something new? Something new today. Some of it's you've heard, but some new, good. And it's not just what I'm saying, it's what you're getting, right? Because it's a new you, it's a new day. And so I want you to always level up, be open to new insights, new discoveries, new miracles. Okay, I love it. So are you ready for some heavy stuff? Physics, quantum physics. All right. Just remember, you asked for it, okay? Oh, I just realized I didn't bring out my markers. I'm gonna need my markers for this. They're in my black case. If you don't mind, sorry, I was thinking. Yeah. That black case. And just if they're in the front pocket, just bring the whole case. Yeah, they're in the front pocket, and just throw the markers on my desk. Sorry, everyone. At the last minute this morning, we had some surprises. I forgot cables, and I forgot my iPad stand that we use for filming, and so we had to scurry around here and get ready. So I made some mistakes as far as getting myself ready. Just throw them all on the desk here. Thanks, man. All right, so physics, quantum physics, metaphysics, how the whole universe works together. All right, let's go. All right, maybe do this. In fact, you know what we didn't even do? I was so thrown by my lack of prep. Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Don't worry about it. that we didn't even do a nice purifying breath. So let's do some breathing, get some oxygen into our bloodstream so that we can really rock in this section. You okay with that? Let's do that. So what I want you to do, I'm going to show you what's called a purifying breath. So a purifying breath is basically a deep diaphragmatic breath mixed with some visualization and just a different mindset on it. So first of all, let's start with deep diaphragmatic breathing. So diaphragmatic breathing means I'm pushing it through the diaphragmatic area down into the belly. So a deep diaphragmatic breath, just leave them all on the table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a deep diaphragmatic breath means you breathe right down into your belly, you fill your lung capacity from top to bottom. So put one of your hands on your belly, one of your hands on your chest. And if you're with other people, put your hand on your own chest, sir. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take in a long, slow, deep breath, and we're going to feel the hands move and see if you can't make that belly move a lot. Okay, everyone? 3, 2, 1, in. And then release. Woo! Anyone get airheaded? Sometimes people don't do that often enough, so you get a little woo-woo-y. Okay, so let's do it again. And again, just notice which hand is moving, see if you can make them both move. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, in. And release. Beautiful. So that's deep diaphragmatic breathing. Encouragement is to inhale through your nose. And when you finish the inhale, instead of having the air just kind of hovering, that you kind of cork it. You can actually inhale and then lock it in. And what that does when you lock it in, and you like lock it in, when you do that, it forces the oxygen through your bloodstream and floods your body with good, clean air ready to go again. So we're going to do that again, but next time I want you to now include the imagery. So I want you to imagine that you're inhaling love and light. So just think about it like this, like coming down from heaven, little light sparkles, right? Little sparkles coming down from heaven. It just gives your mind a visual to lock onto. So you're inhaling these light sparkles into your body, and then when you hold, you see them or imagine them moving from your lungs through your bloodstream all over your body, and as they move through your body, they're healing you and removing all the toxicity. And then when you exhale, you let go of all tension and toxicity. Okay, so that's called purifying breaths. We're going to do a couple of them right now. We inhale light and love. And when we hold, they flood our bloodstream, and then we exhale tension and toxicity. Okay, we'll do that together in 3, 2, 1. Inhale. That's nice. Let's do that again. Inhale. That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You feel good? You like that? That's beautiful. All right. So now, let's flip it over to the screen. Good to see you, my friends. Give everyone a big wave. All right. Now, here. There we go. All right. So, first thing that I want you to know is that physics, let me just go ahead and start writing. Physics is more than just this, but this is a great simplification, I understand. Physics is the study of time, space, and matter in the natural world, right? And so that's what it is. The Newtonian physics is, the guy, the apple fall from the tree, understood that things work in spherical ways, and the Newtonian physics served us incredibly well until something called quantum physics kicked in and freaked everybody out. So what is quantum physics? So physics is the study of time, space, and matter. Quantum physics is the study of time, space, and matter at the subatomic level. So what happened was, when we got to the subatomic level, like first of all, just keep in mind that there was a time that humans thought there were 4 elements. Just type them into the chat if you know what they are. There was a time that we believed there were 4 elements. Take a shot at it. And then some people say that in the Chinese model there were 5, but they're not really elements. They're represented by elements, but they're like 4 seasons or 4 flows. There's a deeper meaning to it. But when it comes to the elements, there were 4. Who knows what they were? Air, water. We got 2. We're rocking. We're rocking as a group. We got air and water. We got fire. We got earth. Oh, ether. Well, no, ether. You're jumping ahead of the class. So we got earth, water, fire, air, and that's what we believe. Now the periodic table was only invented like less than 100 years ago, I think. Now we got 130. I don't know. We got a bunch of elements in the periodic table. The elements. So 120, 130, whatever. You know, just read it, Google it. Who cares? I care. So there's a certain, so it went from 4 to 120. And then the question, so write this down, the question of a scientist is this, write it down. What's that made of? And so when you look at, a piece of wood, you look at a piece of plastic, you look at water. What's water made of? What's everything made of? And so when you get finer and finer, then they got to these elements, the periodic table. But then the question became, what are they made of? And so you may recall that we learned in school, if you're anything like me, you learned that there's the atom, and the atom has neutrons, electrons, and protons, and that's the atom. But then when they started to say, fine, but what is a neutron, electron, and a proton made of? They opened up a whole other universe, and this was done by a guy by the name of Max Planck. So you might want to write that down, Max Planck. Max Planck gave birth to something called quantum mechanics, quantum physics. And quantum is the measurement of energy released by a light, a photon. A photon is what light is made of, right? Because light is both oh boy, let me see, I want to do this step by step. In the quantum realm, these little wee things that make up the neutrons, electrons, protons, the things that make up everything that makes up everything, these subatomic particles don't stay as things. It'll be a thing, then it's a wave, then it's a thing again, then it's a wave, then it's a thing, then it's a wave. And so it doesn't stay a thing or a wave. Like we understand a radio wave when we understand a bottle of water. Well, these things don't play fair. They're a wave, no, they're a thing. No, they're a wave, they're a thing. And they jump back and forth. And so what he was measuring, the quantum is the amount of energy released that is contained, I think it is, within this subatomic particle. All right, back to it. So quantum. Quantum is a measurement of energy. So then, once he opened up this world, once the scientists, along with him, unlocked this world called the quantum physics, it's the study of time, space, and matter at a subatomic level, and it freaked them out. It violated the rules of Newtonian physics. It became somewhat supernatural. And so when the most hardened scientific minds found themselves in playgrounds that were very unfamiliar, they didn't know what to do about it. And then there's this completely different group called metaphysics. And metaphysics studies that which transcends time, space, and matter. So what transcends, the word transcends means exists outside the parameters of. But transcends doesn't mean not present, it means it can permeate this experience and exist outside of this experience. So the spirit world permeates the physical world and transcends the physical world. So there's a spirit world beyond the physical. So physics studies time, space, and matter. Quantum physics studies time, space, and matter at the purest subatomic level. And metaphysics studies that which transcends time, space, and matter. Okay, so it's almost like this is the super grand, the universe, right, and beyond. Quantum physics is the smallest, 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 and the physics is more the normal realm. You got it? Let me know if you're okay so far. Yeah? Okay, good. So that's physics. That's quantum physics. And I talked a little bit about metaphysics. So then, what gets weird now, and I'll get into the theories, unified field theories in a few minutes, but what I want you to know is, they then asked that same question. What was the question? What's that made of? So in the end, they want to know, always, for all three of these, they want to know what's that made of. And so now there's a group of subatomic particles that make up the atomic particles that make up the elements that make up everything. So when they got to the what's that made of, they said, well, maybe it's a strange question at this point because we're already into this mystical subatomic world, but what are the subatomic particles made of? And so this is where we land on a very important discovery, which actually is a discovery that I think is one of the most agreed upon things within science and spirituality, and that is the universe is made up of energy. So write that down. In the end, the universe is made up of energy. Everything is made up of the same stuff. This stuff, energy, whatever it is. Every air molecule, every part of my body, the markers, everything is made up of energy. And this energy has rules that are distinct from the physical realm. So now let's talk about how do we know, so what's the next very important point to understand about energy? Please confirm that you're okay. Just type okay, so I can keep going. I want to give it all, and I don't want to slow down, I don't want to go too fast. So there's two quantum physics experiments that I'll refer to prove that the universe is a spiritual, is made up of a spiritual substance, that energy is spiritual. So here's how this works. The two experiments, one is, well, not the experiments, but two understandings of quantum physics. One is the quantum leap. Now, the quantum leap is when an electron circling an atom, the electron spinning, let's say it's going in this direction, let's say it's right here, that it all of a sudden, for no reason it seems, although they can actually cause it, so they do know some reason, but all of a sudden it appears here and it's moving this direction. But it's not just that it moved, right? What's more important is it didn't move. Movement means it went from here to here, but it didn't. It was here, now it's here. The other thing that's important is no time was lost. So it ceased to exist in this location, now it exists in this location. And what that does is it violates all of the laws of physics. The laws of physics say you can't do that. You can't go from one space to the other and violate time. Time was violated. Space was violated. And in a sense, it is matter. It became non-matter, and then it was matter, but no time was lost. Do you understand how it completely violates time, space, and matter? Well, what do we know about things that transcend time, space, and matter? They're spiritual. Spiritual things transcend, exist beyond the parameters, the rules of time, space, and matter. And the other experiment that just locked it down for me was the entanglement, quantum entanglement. And I promise we're going to show you how this makes you rich. I promise we're going to show you how this makes you happy and have great relationships and build a business and change your life. It's not theory for theory's sake. This is theory to understand how the universe works and how you are a spiritual being in a physical plane dialing to the spiritual energy, being an antenna for spirituality to bring infinite love, power, wisdom, wealth into this time-space continuum. And so to understand that you're made up of this stuff matters. Are you okay then? It's not just theory for theory's sake. There's a reason we're doing this. So quantum entanglement is when two particles meet. So let's use a blue and a red and make a purple baby. All right. Oh, these are better. Okay. So we've got a little blue electron, and we have a little pinkish electron, and then the two of them decide to get together for a weekend in Mexico and get entangled. So they had a little electron honeymoon, and they got together, and little blue and little pink made purple. So now they're not separate. They have overwritten one another. You follow? So we've got two electrons that occupy the exact same space. That's called entanglement. When they entangle, I want you to know that these subatomic particles can no longer exist in the way that they did before. Now, when they separate, they are a combination. Some of what was in the other is now overwritten them and in back and forth. So now, even though they can be in different places in the universe, you can move these subatomic particles hundreds of light. One of the things that happens in this quantum physics thing is they spin. So if the scientists cause this entangled subatomic particle to spin up, this one will spin down at the exact same moment. Like no time lost. And they can be a million light years apart. So the physics community wrestled with this because it didn't make any sense, the quantum physicists. And Einstein didn't like it at all. He said, this can't be true, let's go back to the drawing board, this can't be true. Because Einstein's genius was based on light. Max Planck's genius was based on matter. And when these two people partnered, we uncovered many of the secrets of the universe. And Einstein said they cannot communicate faster than the speed of light because there's no time lost. One affects the other. And so the conclusion is they are not communicating faster than the speed of light. They are, please get this, they are not separate even though they're in completely different locations. They are still one. Can you get that? So they're not communicating, they're still in the same location if you ask them. Separation never occurred. Again, proving that at the subatomic level, energy transcends time, space, and matter. Energy is a spiritual substance. And everything in the universe is made up of energy. All of the scientists, I believe they agree on that. I believe that's uniform. Well, if the universe is made up of energy, and if energy transcends, exists beyond the parameters of the rules of time, space, and matter, that means miracles are reasonable. Like, all of this energy obeys the natural order until it doesn't. And there is a supernatural way to work in the metaphysical realm. And that's what we're learning this weekend. Is this cool? So we are all part of this supernatural soup. We're all part of the same thing. And so we're all one, and we're dialed in. The next thing I want you to realize is the location of all of this. So the next thing I want to talk about is location. So we've got the physical universe. Type into the chat if you're okay. I won't go too long. I'm going to give you a break soon, I promise. Okay, so the spirit world, remember, spirit world transcends time, space, and matter. There we go. Oh, that's why. I was wondering why it was getting so warm. You left that. Yeah. I was like, why is it getting so warm? Okay. Sorry. Mexican issues. And when I say Mexican issues, I mean paradise issues. All right, so the spirit world transcends time, space, and matter. The spirit world, someone said, well, when was God born? Well, that is a question that merely screams the lack of understanding of the spiritual world. The spiritual world transcends time, which means there was no beginning, there is no end. The spirit world always is now. It's an eternal now. And when people talk about eternal life, it doesn't mean a really long time. It means timeless. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Eternal life doesn't mean a really long time. That sounds boring. Eternal life means perfect, euphoric, eternal nowness. And if you've ever got caught up in a lover's embrace, whether you're just hugging or dancing or more, you know what timelessness means. You didn't know if a moment passed or a year. You go into a timeless state when we enter into the spirit realm, which is possible, and we're learning how to master it this weekend. So the spirit world, which transcends time, space, and matter, decided to create something called the universe. Boom, easy peasy. So the universe was created. Now the universe exists inside of the spirit world. If there was an inside-outside, then that would transcend space. Hang in there. So the universe is the world of time, space, and matter. So this is where time, space, and matter exists. I take it so much. The universe. This is a place of time, space, and matter. Good. Now, if just to give you a sense of magnitude, because sometimes we don't think about this because it's mind-boggling. If I took a pin, and I have a pin in the room somewhere, but if I took a pin or a pen, okay, so I'll take a pen, but I'm talking about a pin which is much finer. And if I poked a little wee hole there, let me make sure that I make a mark. Okay, then. So I put a little wee mark on the board. Now, if this whole flip chart was the universe, the Milky Way, right, the galaxy that we're in, would be smaller than this speck. Put up your hand if you understand what I'm saying. If the flip chart was the universe, the speck is way too big to represent the Milky Way. If the flip chart represented the Milky Way, the speck would be way too large to represent our galaxy. And if the board represented our galaxy, the size, like if you actually saw how big the sun was and how far the planets are, there's no way to represent the size of the Earth, right? It's just too small. And then on Earth, how small are you and I? You get the idea now? Like the magnitude of what we're talking about? We're not talking about something small, we're talking about the universe, okay. And it's rapidly expanding, by the way. It's freaking some people out. So this entire universe is made up of what? Type it into the chat. The entire universe is made up of one thing. So at the end of our search, what's it made of? We ended up not with more, but we ended up with less. We ended up with everything is made up of one thing. The entire universe is made up of energy. Good. Now, in this time-space continuum, I next want to point out who are you, okay? So you and I are here. However, this is not our natural environment. We're from here. We came here. And we got wrapped in skin. So we entered into this time-space experience. So our natural habitat is not the universe. We're physically in the universe at the moment, but who we are is bigger than what the universe, contains. People, stuff, or animals and things. So what I want you to do is write this down. I am a spiritual being currently existing in physical form. I'm a spiritual being currently existing in physical form. Now, why does that matter? Because you're not needy and weak. You've been sent here to change the world, for crying out loud. You're an ambassador of the power of the universe. You're sent here to change things. And we go around going, it's not fair. They're supposed to be nicer to me, and the government should give me more money. And I shouldn't have to buy a car. Holy crap. We whine like we're little weaklings. You're a spiritual being sent here to change the world. Give me an amen if you're open to this, to just the fact that you're not a whiny, needy little victim. That you're actually the world changer, here on purpose with a reason for this season, and you're going to stop kidding yourself, and you're going to ignite, you're going to unlock, unleash who you really are. It's important to realize you're not weak and needy. It's important to realize your powerful truth. Now, those of you who are wondering again where I'm coming from spiritually, I am a fully committed Christ follower, which means I believe the Jesus story. The Jesus is God story. I believe that whole thing. I'm 100% a Christ follower. I'm not saying that you have to agree with me on the Jesus thing or not. I'm saying I believe there is a God, and I believe that God isn't me. So I'm not trying to make myself God. I'm merely saying, in my opinion, you might call yourself God. That's none of my business. If you're God, by the way, can you do a better job on a few things? No, I'm kidding. But if you think you're God, that's none of my business. If what I'm saying though is, divine love and I agreed that I would come here. Is that okay, everyone? We agreed I would come here. And in the Bible it says, you didn't choose me, I chose you, and I sent you for a reason, to leave a legacy impact. It's written right into the wisdom literature. I sent you, I chose you, I sent you. And we're not victims of this calling. So, are we limited to the rules of the physical universe of time, space, and matter? No, neither is anything else. So, the whole point is that we are here to bring, let me get another color going here. We are here to bring the spirit world through us like an antenna. I don't know how to draw an antenna. I just drew a stick on his head. I don't know what an antenna looks like. Okay. I don't know what an antenna. Okay, there you go. But it's through us that the power of the universe enters into the power of the spirit world enters the universe and changes things. So the supernatural comes through our natural form. So the supernatural flows through our natural form. Just like the plants turn the light's energy into food, which is the only reason why anything is alive. If the plants didn't turn the light's energy into food, we wouldn't be able to eat. Well, in the same way, if humans didn't bring the light of the spirit world into the physical world, it would be a bigger nightmare than it is. And if more of us get signed up to our real calling, the world would be changed pretty fast. Give me an amen if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Is this good news to you? And then the rest of the weekend is how to do it, right? But I just wanted you to get it. Woohoo! All right, beautiful. What else did I want to make sure I covered? So then the question is, how far away is the spirit world? Is that okay? So then the next question is the heavens. And if you study the different wisdom literatures, different religions and spiritual histories, all the different world religions have different versions of the same things, and it's called the heavens, or it's called the other dimensions, or planes of consciousness, or I know other words, I'm just not coming to me. Now, the most common of all the different world religions is the number 7, which is fine with me. It doesn't have to be 7. It can be 7. It can be less. It can be more. I'm not going to get emotional about it. But for right now, the way that a lot of the wisdom literature and drawings, right? If you look at some of like the Catholic drawings are amazing. They've got drawings of how this all fits together. And they've got all these different levels of heaven or heavens. In the Bible it says so-and-so went to the third heaven. Judaism believes in 7 heavens. Islam, 7 heavens is very central. Lots of different things. And then you've got the Akasha. There's a religion. Theosophy. Theosophy believes in what's called the Akashic record. And so in these heavens or realms, let's start with the idea that there's 7. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is, how do I, in my physical form, connect to the supernatural to make all this cool stuff possibly happen? So I'm going to talk about 2 of them. One of them is the unified field. The unified field. This is also known as collective consciousness. If you study Joe Dispenza, he talks about when you become no one, nowhere, no thing in no time, you have entered into the oneness. And that's one of these realms that we separate from the individuality of this physicality, and we move into the spirit realm where we become evidently part of this energetic soup, and we then know that we're part of a one. There's a oneness to this universe. And that is a magnificent place, and this is where you go when you meditate, when you kind of nail it, if you will. When you meditate, you go into this beautiful place, and it is so restorative and so healing. So highly encourage you to master meditation and get into this space of no one, nowhere, no time, the collective consciousness. And the Bible, it refers to this as this could be one of the other heavens, but a cloud of witnesses. This is another one of the heavens where the dearly departed reside and can watch and cheer us on and so on. So the unified field is one of the levels, one of the 7s. Now the other one is, I'll call it the Akashic record because I really like that. The Akashic record is the record of all knowingness, of all living things, not just human beings. But the Akashic record is like this place of all knowingness. Now, if you're a theist like me, one who believes that there's a divine centralized personhood of God, we believe that only the divine has all knowingness, and so I'm not going to disagree with that. But all knowing of all that is lived. And the reason why that's important to tap into the idea of is we can know what we cannot justify. In fact, you know what you cannot explain how you know. Who's with me on that? There's things you know you can't explain how you know, you just know. And it comes to like that 6th sense of, I meet a person, I just get a sense. There's I don't know how I know it's going to work, I just know it's going to work. There's you name it. There's all kinds of knowing that goes beyond learning, it's just a knowing. When we left this space, use a blue one here. No, let me use a black one here. When we left this space here, we accepted spiritual amnesia. So we left our all-knowing, or whatever, I don't know how much all-knowing you're comfortable with, but we left knowing a lot of what we knew, and we entered here clean slate. And when we entered here, we were severed in our connection from the spirit world, and we have to re-find our connection. It's just the deal. When we leave the spirit world and enter into the physical world, we start with a clean slate, it's like they clean the RAM on the computer, you got to start up again. And through our spiritual journey, we reconnect to source, and we can reconnect, we can be free of spiritual amnesia, get reconnected to the knowing, get reconnected to the unified field, and divine love, power, wealth, wisdom can flow to us and through us and change the world that we live in. Mic drop. So far so good? Boom. Boom. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull you in, and then I'm just going to close it with a little bit on the unified field theory and the theory of everything, which I kind of just showed you. But let me just pull you up. Where are you? There you are. Are you okay? Did you handle that all right? All right. Here's what I want to do. I want to open it up to some questions now, right? Let's take a few questions and make sure that you have a chance to ask me, because I just went kind of heavy and far. It's almost noon. We're gonna take lunch at noon, but let me just open it up for you for some questions. Olga and Augustine, if you're here, and those of you who are on YouTube, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe that was a little deep, heavy for a stranger. But welcome, my name is James MacNeil. We're in what's called the DreamLife Experience, and there's people that are inside of this room with me through a Zoom meeting, and they're all over the world, and they have workbooks, and they have a chat group, and they have people, online volunteers who are helping them through the content. And so if you'd like to join that, it's only $9. And this is a 3-day event, so it's $3 a day. Come on, you spend more on coffee. And you can go to go.jamesmcneil.com/insider and grab a $9 ticket, and then you're inside the room. I don't know how long we're going to let the YouTube thing go, but we wanted to get to know new folks. So welcome. We're so glad that you were able to join us. All right, my friends. So who's got a question? Who's got a thought? Who's got an add-on? An insight, a discovery based on our sprint through physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics. Who's got an aha, a share, or a question? Olga, can you come on? Audio for me and for everyone? So any questions that have came up? So you can put up your hand if you have a question, a thought, or a share. I find it very helpful. This is the way I am. When I became a new believer in my own spiritual journey, people said, well, you have to do your quiet times in the morning, you have to read the Bible, you have to do this, you have to do that. Well, I'm just not wired for have-tos. You tell me what I have to do, and I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. And so that didn't work for me, but when someone said, how would you like to dial into infinite intelligence to bring love energy to your day and have unlimited power and clarity and peace and guidance, I'd be like, yeah. They didn't have to just tell me you have to sit silently like a veg, because it sounded boring until I knew why. But once I understand the why, it's very exciting. So now I want to meditate, now I want to pray, now I want to read the ancient scripts, now I want to understand this stuff. Now I'm turned on. But for me, it's like, don't just tell me the little warning lights on the car, tell me how the car works. Well, when it comes to cars, I don't care. Just give me a car that's sexy. I don't care, I'll press the button, I'll drive it. But when it comes to this stuff, I want to understand. So I hope you enjoy that. So anything come in, Olga? Can you share his thoughts? Beautiful. I'm happy. All right, well, I'm happy you're happy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wrap this up with this thing called the unified field theory, because the unified field that I referred to here is a term borrowed from the physics world, but this is a spiritual idea. And the world of transcendental meditation has really locked onto that term to where do we go when we meditate. And so the unified field is a term that, and it's a great term because it's the unity, right, of the spiritual field. And collective consciousness, there's some other words that different faith journeys, different spiritual journeys will call it. But the unified field also has its origin in physics with Einstein. And so I'm going to talk about how the original use of the term unified field was used, and then the theory of everything, and then how what I just brought to you is the real theory of everything. And so I'm going to do that for a few minutes, and we're going to be taking lunch. Good and good? Have we invested our morning well? Blessed souls? All right, here we go. Back to life. Back to reality. Don't let me do that. Get me under control. Okay, here we go. Unified field. So, when it comes to the unified field theory, I just want to know what is a unified field. First, in the world of physics, there's a belief that there are 4 powers in the universe. You might want to write that down. 4 powers in the universe. Or 4 forces. And that's what they call them, the 4 forces. And those forces are electromagnetism, gravity, strong nuclear, weak nuclear. I think I said it right. Gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, weak nuclear. Yeah, 4 forces in the universe. And they say all action in the universe, everything that occurs, can go back to one of those 4 forces. There are only 4 forces in the universe. And so then when they study a force, like gravity, and they say, can we turn this into a mathematical formula? Because scientists and physicists and whatever, they're smart and they're like that. They like to get it down to something controllable, concrete, measurable, trackable, provable. And so they turn these forces into formulas. And they've done that successfully for all four of the forces. They have a mathematical equation to represent all four forces. Distinct, unique, huge equations that explain the four forces. Everyone got it? Now when a force has been turned into a mathematical equation, it is referred to now as a field. This is where we get the term force field. I know you thought it was a Star Wars thing, but it's actually a physics thing. So a force becomes a field when it's a mathematical equation on one of the four forces of the universe. Good. So then, just because these brainiacs are like that, they're like, could there be a master formula or a unified field theory? If we could create a master formula that would explain all forces in the universe, we would have cracked the code on the universe and it might reveal other secrets. So there's been a quest to come up with one mathematical formula to explain all forces of the universe, and it's called the unified field theory. So that was started around the year 1900, and not long after, within a couple of years, Einstein jumped on board. When Einstein jumped on board, people were like, well, this must be something Einstein's behind. So he participated, and they thought if they could take Einstein's theory of general relativity and electromagnetism, the formula for electromagnetism, if they take these two theories, they can merge them into a unified field. So the unified field theory, the first major effort was an attempt to bring Einstein's theory of general relativity and electromagnetism together and that form a formula. Well, it did not. So they gave up on that, and there's many. There's string theory, there's, I don't know all the names, but there's tons of theories on how we can come up with a master theory of everything. Everyone with me so far? So it's can we figure out the entire universe with one mathematical equation? The current leading combination, I think it's the leading combination, I think that's generally agreed, is a combination of, back to Einstein's theory of general relativity, that's how powerful it is, it's one of the two. But the second one, instead of being electromagnetism, is the theory of quantum mechanics, quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics, or quantum theory, whatever let's say quantum theory. Quantum theory, so Max Planck's quantum theory and Einstein's theory of general relativity. If these two could be merged into a master formula, that would be the theory of everything, and that was the name of Stephen, you know, the movie, the guy, Hawking's, thank you. So then, what I want you to know is, I believe they will never solve the riddle, and here's why. They've excluded something both of the founders of those sciences made clear, and here's what it is. Max Planck and Albert Einstein became very close pals and study buddies, right? They were trying to figure out, you know, all these cool things together. So, here's what Max Planck said. As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, he said, that's the most clear-headed science. It's stuff. I study stuff. That's all I've done my entire life. He says, as a man who has devoted his entire life to the most clear-headed science, the study of matter, I can tell you, as a result of all of my research about atoms this much, there is no matter as such, as we've talked about, right? All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must, he said, assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. He was saying there is a divine intelligence, there is a divine love, there is a something, a God if you will, that's holding this whole thing together. There's a spiritual piece of this equation that without that spiritual piece, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit together by the sum of its parts in all of my life study. Einstein said, concerning matter, now this is a quote I have not been able to confirm came from his mouth, but I tried and it looks like it probably was him. He said stuff like this for sure. Concerning matter, we have all been wrong. What we've called matter is really just energy, whose vibration has been lowered to, as to be perceived to the senses. There is no matter, there is only light and sound. On top of that, Einstein was a believer in something called pantheism. Pantheism means he believed that if there is this thing called God, he said it is the sum total of the universe. Meaning, what's inside of the universe is divine. Meaning, the energy of which it is built is divine. And that, my friends, is actually agreed to by many of the spiritual traditions. And for Christians, I don't want to be abominable. I don't want to get in too much trouble, but perhaps the use of the term Holy Spirit could be applied to the entire universe. That energy that as it flows and moves. So, in any event, what Einstein and Max Planck agreed to is there's a spiritual part of the equation, and the current attempts at the theory of everything seem to be trying to calculate it without the spiritual realm. And so what I say is I'm bringing it together to the real theory of everything, because everything they know to be true plus the spirit world, now that can make some sense. So that's about the spirit world, the universe, collective consciousness, and you. Woo! I like them apples. Let's conclude this by reminding ourselves that strength in the physical world is measured by how much you can lift up. Strength in the spiritual world is measured by how much you can let go. Are you willing to let go of fear, let go of frustration, let go of judgment? This should be, that shouldn't be, this should, stop shoulding. And calm down and say, it is what it is, and now, and here's the question, write this down, how do I best bring love into this moment? That's the only real question now. How do I best bring love into this moment? Because when we bring love into the moment, we bring divinity into the moment. And this is how we change our lives, change our world, change our bodies, change our families, change our finances, change our neighborhoods, change our industries, and change our planet in desperate need of love energy. I'm pretty excited now that if we set the stage for the next 2.5 days, as we now show you how you do the dance. How do you bring divine into time? How do you bring the divine into this time-space experience? And that's what we're doing for the rest of this weekend. All right, I'm going to pull you on the screen, and we're going to be going to lunch. There you are, sexy souls. How you doing, my friends? Good and good? Okay, beautiful. So thank you so much for, I went a little bit over here. I said I was going to stop at 12 or a couple minutes over. This has taken me over 30 years to try and wrap my head around, because I wanted to find a way to speak to this respectfully and intelligently so that I'm not stepping on unnecessary toes. I will say to you this, every faith group that has studied this has signed off on it. I've had Buddhist monks show up at my event and sign off on everything they heard, famous Buddhist monks, by the way, Christian theologians signing off on all of my work. I take this very seriously. I have no interest in doing anything but completely and totally respecting all faith groups, all spiritual journeys, and frankly, to respect our scientists who have done an incredible job with quantum physics and all this kind of stuff. So my intent is always to be respectful, open, honest, and direct, and I believe by the grace of God, I've cracked the code on how these things fit together, and I'm honored to be able to bring it to you. So thank you for hanging in with me as we talked about this heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Thank you, my dear friends. So we're going to take lunch. And you have to run out. Let's give you 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Let's try that. Let's see if we can be back in 45 minutes. So my every intention is to start in 45 minutes. The time right now is
11:04. 12:04.
Okay, 12:05. 12:05. Yeah, 12:05 Toronto time. So 12:50. Is that right? 12:50. So 10 to 1 Toronto time, we're going to be back in 45 minutes. Take care of your body and review your notes, do some prayers and meditating on it, and get ready to go. We're going to hit meditation number 1 when we come back. Love, joy, and peace.